ABC 30 Action News AM Live starts now with breaking news.
We're following that breaking news this hour out of Central Fresno. Police are investigating an officer-involved shooting at this hour in the area of Dakota between Palm and Fruit.
Yeah, we've learned Chief Jerry Dyer on the scene. Action News reporter Vanessa Vasconcello was the first reporter out on scene. Vanessa, what are you learning?
Amanda, Tony, Chief Dyer got here about 10 minutes ago, and he has confirmed that this is an officer-involved shooting. Expect Dakota between Fruit and Palm to be shut down for several hours. I'm going to step out of the way so you can see the activity going on behind me. Several blocks, of course, taped off as this is an officer-involved shooting. If you see in the distance between two patrol cars, you can see Chief Jerry Dyer being briefed right now by responding officers as well as detectives. Now, at this point, I did speak with a detective. He said no one is at large at this point, so this is not a public threat. However, we do know that no arrests have been made either. So I do want you to keep in mind this area is going to be shut down for several hours right now as they are investigating this officer-involved shooting. At this point, we're trying to figure out just how many shots were fired, who did that shooting. We spoke with neighbors who said they heard at least 30 shots fired, and I can tell you that we got here at around 4:30 this morning, and at that point, there were several patrol cars blocking this area. The tape wasn't even rolled out, so very active situation at this point, and we can guess it happened around 4:30. At least before that, that's when we arrived. Again, Dakota is going to be shut down between Fruit and Palm for several hours for this officer-involved shooting investigation. Reporting live in Central Fresno, Vanessa Vasconcellos, Action News AM Live.
Thanks, Vanessa. New this morning, President Donald Trump will be paying a visit to Ohio today.
Thanks.
He plans to visit Cincinnati as part of a major push for a $1 trillion overhaul of the nation's infrastructure. And we'll speak this afternoon at Rivertown Marina. It's a key item on his agenda that's been overshadowed by White House controversies. The president will address ways of improving levees, dams, and locks along inland waterways that are crucial to agricultural exports.
Developing this morning, the woman who accused comedian Bill Cosby of drugging and sexually assaulting her in 2004 will return to the witness stand today. Andrea Constand will first testified yesterday at Cosby's sexual assault trial in Pennsylvania. She says she shot down Cosby's advances 2 times before she found herself paralyzed and unable to fight him off the night she took pills he said were herbal supplements. The defense says Cosby's relationship with Constand was consensual. The 79-year-old could spend the rest of his life in prison if convicted.
All right, switching gears here, let's get a check of our forecast as we take a live look at the North Valley from our Merced Skycam.
All right, things are starting to warm up out there. Let's turn things over to Alina Lee with a look at what our highs might be this day. Good morning, Alina.
Good morning, you guys. Yeah, it's going to be another very warm afternoon. Not nearly as warm as it was yesterday by maybe 3 to 4 degrees. So you may not even notice the difference out there. And right now, we're actually starting out a bit cooler as well. Let's show you a live look with our China Peak Skycam, our Central Valley Toyota China Peak Skycam. That is sunny out there, even over parts of the Sierra this morning. And here in the valley, lots of sunshine across the valley floor. 58 degrees already now in Merced, so we've warmed up a degree or so since earlier. 63 though here in Fresno, 59 in Visalia, and 56 degrees in the city of Hanford and Madera. Your day planner shows plenty of sunshine through the lunch hour and temperatures warming up to the mid-80s by then, so a bit warm to maybe take your lunch outside. And then by the afternoon hours, very warm, expecting temperatures to be back in the low to mid-90s, which is still very well above average for this time of year. Temperatures, though, eventually getting much cooler through the work week, the rest of it, that is, through the weekend. We'll have those numbers and just how long this cool down will last coming up a little bit later. Amanda?
All right, thanks, Alina. Developing this morning, the family of a 25-year-old federal contractor accused of leaking classified information to the media, speaking out on her behalf. The Justice Department announced charges this week against Reality Lee Winner following her arrest Saturday in Georgia. Reed Binion has more.
I don't care what they accused her of doing.
Gary Davis speaking out in defense of his stepdaughter, accused NSA document leaker Reality Winner.
She's a patriot, and to see her maligned and slandered in the media is very disheartening.
Winner now facing charges after authorities say she removed classified material from a government building and mailed it to online news outlet The Intercept. The information was the basis for The Intercept's Monday article on an NSA report detailing a 2016 Russian cyber attack on a U.S. voting software supplier. There's no indication that the hack affected any votes.
If she did what she's being accused of, I know that she's ready to pay the price.
Winner's mother, Billy Winner, expressing concern that her daughter will face unduly harsh punishment because of the current political climate regarding leaks.
My biggest fear in all of this is that she's not going to get a fair trial. She's not going to be treated fairly. She's going to be made an example of.
Prosecutors say Winner admitted to the leak, but her lawyer cast doubt on the government's side of the story, saying he hasn't seen any evidence to indicate Winner is guilty.
If the document that's currently being circulated, if that's the actual document, the government's going to have to prove how that injured the United States and how it benefited Russia.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
Criminal charges could be coming for officials at Pearl Unified. Action News has uncovered documents detailing the alleged misuse of money by a superintendent. New court documents reveal exactly what investigators believe Gerardo Alvarez did. School district records show Alvarez frequently reported lost receipts and once claimed a receipt was gone because of a break-in at the district's business office. But investigators couldn't locate any police report to support his claim.
And one of the things that they mentioned is that there's just kind of this massive lack of internal control. So does that muddy the water for an investigation like this?
It does. It does. And if the internal controls are not there, maybe it's purposely set up that way.
Prosecutors have not yet filed criminal charges against Alvarez or anyone else in the district. We tried to reach him for comment, but could not track him down.
An Action News update now on a deadly plane crash in Yosemite 3 years ago. Federal investigators have issued their final report. They say the pilot was at fault. An investigation into the 2014 crash of an air tanker fighting a forest fire found the pilot was warned to avoid hazardous trees to the right of his path. The plane's wing struck trees on the left side. Investigators have long believed the left wing struck a tree, but the National Transportation Safety Board report provides further details on what led up to that crash. Pilot Jeffrey Craig Hunt was killed.
High school graduations continue tonight. Diplomas will be handed out to students at Buchanan High, Fresno High, and Tulare Union High School, among others. Last night, hundreds of Hoover High School graduates turned their tassels at the Save Mart Center. Students from McLean and Sunnyside High Schools also graduated yesterday. And at Sunnyside ceremony, it was extra special for a teen fighting a respiratory illness. Victor Guerra has been at Valley Children's Hospital for 2 weeks. The 18-year-old battles spinal muscular atrophy, scoliosis, and asthma. As graduation approached, doctors feared he wouldn't be well enough to make it. But the hospital made arrangements to make that possible, transporting him to the Save Mart Center with medical staff.
Because I didn't think I was going to be able to go. Now that I am able to go, it's very exciting. And I guess it's kind of like a miracle.
Guerra graduated with his twin sister and hopes to one day become a psychologist. He plans to attend Fresno City College, then Fresno State.
Action News Time 6:08. A man hit by a car in Fresno.
What we're learning about the victim and what he was doing at the time he was hit.
Plus, the Merced County Fair getting ready to open today. How you can get in for free tonight if you plan on attending.
And here's a live look outside from our downtown Fresno sky cam. The sun is rising, it is up, and Alina will tell us about our hot conditions coming up.
Action News is brought to you by Groppetti Automotive.
Welcome back, everybody. It is 6:11 this morning, and it seems we've been in the 90s for a while now.
Yeah.
It's been hot out there lately.
It certainly has been. I mean, we should be close to 90 for this time of year, but we're going to surpass our normal temperature for this time of year and get back into the mid-90s this afternoon. But, hey, this will be the last time we have to see those 90s for a couple of days. Last year around this time, we were in the triple digits, so thankfully it's not nearly that hot. 63 degrees here in Fresno, the only area in the 60s at this time. 56 in Hanford, Madera 58 in Merced and Porterville, 59 in Visalia, and 54 degrees in Lemoore. As we look at satellite and radar this morning, shows you that it is clear and dry out there right now. We do have lots of sunshine across the valley floor, up to the foothills, into the Sierra to start. Spread the picture out a bit further, and you can see that storm system just out of the Gulf of Alaska, all the moisture ahead of it going to move into the region later on today. This little low you see here, that's not going to move in until late this week through the weekend and produce some gusty winds for us over Saturday and Sunday, but cooler temperatures will arrive then as well. And we are going to see a few clouds here and there as we go throughout the day today. So our Futurecast model showing you temperatures and sky conditions throughout your Wednesday, 12 o'clock today. low to mid 80s for your temperatures at that point. We could be in the 70s in parts of the foothills this afternoon, or at least by lunchtime, then jumping close to the low 80s by the afternoon there in the foothills near Mariposa, Oakhurst, and Aubrey. But we will be in the low to mid 90s for many spots here in the valley, and some areas in the North Valley may not get out of the 80s today, so even cooler temperatures are expected there. Some clouds around, some very high, thin cirrus clouds overhead expected throughout the day today into the evening. So tomorrow morning you may see some of those clouds around. Otherwise, lots of sunshine to start your Thursday and much cooler temperatures already arriving. This is 7 o'clock in the evening, though. We'll be down in the 70s to even upper 80s out there. So still very comfortable for your Thursday night with a few clouds here and there, especially in the North Valley. So we could see some cloudy conditions to start Thursday night into Friday, and a very, very small chance of a spotty shower expected Thursday night into early Friday morning here in the valley. I think the better chances of any precipitation will be in the Sierra on Friday afternoon. Your valley forecast for today, though, mix of sun and clouds and warm, low to mid 90s for your high temperatures today in the Sierra, or foothills, excuse me. Be a warm afternoon, high temperatures back in the 80s, very close to 90 degrees. And in the Sierra, plenty of sunshine, but mild. If anything, just a tad bit cooler today than yesterday, as high temperatures here climbing to the 70s and 80s. We'll get to more of your much cooler temperatures coming up in just a few minutes. Right now, it's time for traffic, so we'll send it over to CHP Officer Justin Foraker to get another look at this morning's roadways. How's it looking out there, Justin?
Alina, the roadways aren't looking too bad so far this morning. Let's go ahead and pull up that live traffic tracker, take a quick look at that Wednesday morning commute. We're going to head down to Kings County, take a wide shot of all the major roadways down there. As you can see, the 41, 43, and 198 all in the green. No major traffic collisions or hazards to report at this time. Everything is moving smoothly and at the speed limit through Hanford and Lemoore. As we come up here to Fresno, do have reports of a traffic collision involving an overturned vehicle southbound State Route 99 just north of Herndon. Looks like CHP as well as fire personnel are on scene out there, so if you are traveling that way this morning, please give yourself a little bit of extra time and give those crews a little bit of extra room on the right-hand shoulder as they work on getting that cleared up for you. Let's go ahead and take a live look outside here. Northbound State Route 41, just north of the 180 connector. As you can see, traffic is light and moving smoothly. I'm Officer Foraker with the California Highway Patrol, reminding everyone to keep those seatbelts fastened and please keep driving safely. Tony, Amanda, back to you.
Okay, thanks, Justin. Time is 6:14. 2 attacks in Iran's capital overnight.
The targets of the gunmen and who's behind the attack.
I'm Vanessa Vasconcelos reporting live in central Fresno right now, where police are investigating an officer-involved shooting. I'm going to step out of the way so you can see everything going on. Dakota now shut down between Fruit and Palm. We're waiting on an update from Chief Derry Dyer, who's walking toward us, so we'll have that coming up in a live report.
Developing this morning, trial is underway for a Boston area woman accused of encouraging her boyfriend to commit suicide 3 years ago. Documents show text messages Michelle Carter sent to 18-year-old Conrad Roy, urging him to go ahead with plans to kill himself. Roy was found dead of carbon monoxide poisoning in his pickup truck in a store parking lot in 2014. The now 20-year-old Carter is charged with involuntary manslaughter and faces up to 20 years in prison. She waived her right to a jury trial, so a judge will decide the case.
The man accused of killing 2 passengers and injuring a third on a Portland train last month is expected to be arraigned today. It comes one day after a grand jury indicted Jeremy Christian. He faces 15 counts in all, including charges of murder, assault, and intimidation. 11 of those are related to the train attack. The other 4 charges are for another incident that allegedly took place the day before the train attack. Police say Christian harassed 2 African-American teens on the train May 26th. They say he then attacked 3 men trying to defend those girls. He killed 2 of them and seriously injured another.
New this morning, 8 victims of the Cincinnati nightclub shooting that left 2 dead and 15 others injured are suing the club and its owner. The lawsuit filed last month claims the club failed to have proper security in place and didn't have enough security personnel at the time of the March shooting. About 200 people were inside the club when a dispute escalated into a gunfight in which more than 20 shots were fired. Those filing the lawsuit are seeking damages in excess of $25,000 plus legal costs.
Action News time, almost 6:20, and we're talking about your forecast on this Wednesday.
Another hot day on tap. Let's turn things over to Alina with a look. Hi, Alina.
Hi there, you guys. Yeah, another very warm day expected today as temperatures get back into the 90s, which is still above average for this time of year. We are going to watch our temperatures cool down, though, through the rest of the week. We'll have more on that in a moment. 61 degrees out the door in Redding and Los Angeles, 63 here in Fresno. 50s in Sacramento and parts of San Francisco. We even have some 50s here in the valley. So here we are, 58 degrees in Merced, 56 in Madera and Hanford, 58 even in Porterville, and 59 degrees in Visalia. Wind out of the northwest between 3 to 6 miles per hour from here in Fresno, Madera up to Merced. calm wind now in Hanford and south wind between Lemoore, Visalia, and Porterville. Look for those winds to stay light throughout much of the morning heading into the afternoon. Now our satellite and radar showing you a plume of moisture continuing to filter in as we go throughout the morning, and we're going to watch those clouds start to stream in parts of our area later on today and through this evening. Otherwise, mostly sunny skies are expected throughout your day here in Fresno, Central Valley. We're going to be dry, though, as this next trough digs southward into the region by Friday into the weekend. And we are going to watch for a small chance of a shower Thursday into Friday, mainly north of us. It'll be away from our area. Again, we may be able to squeeze out a sprinkle or two out in parts of the North Valley by late this week. But again, no measurable rainfall expected so far, just those cooler temperatures. Saturday through the weekend, you can watch those lines get closer together as we're expecting some breezy conditions as well. So winds could be gusting up to about 25 miles per hour from Saturday through your Sunday. And again, that trough going to stick with us through the weekend before it exits by early next week. And then you'll notice those lines start to separate, leading to some much lighter winds by Monday into Tuesday. High temperatures over the next 5 days, trending cooler. 80s tomorrow, staying in the low to mid 80s Friday. Then some areas may not even get out of the 70s heading into this weekend, especially in parts of the North Valley. Now, your forecast for today, mix of sun and clouds, 90s today, 60s tonight. Air quality report, hey, that's changed since yesterday in many locations. Unhealthy for sensitive groups here in Fresno, Kings, and Tulare County. Now, as promised, your 7-day forecast, as you can see here, trending cooler and staying dry through the weekend. A little bit of a breeze kicks in Saturday and Sunday, and then we warm right back up to the mid to upper 80s on Tuesday. Amanda, Tony, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Alina. Still to come on Action News AM Live, stretch your stress away.
Our local fitness experts will show you how coming up next. Time is 6:24. Game 3 of the NBA Finals gets underway tonight.
That's right. This time that game taking place in Cleveland. The Cavaliers hoping to get some home time love and get back into the finals against the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors have won the first 2 games against the Cavs so far. Game 3 tips off tonight at 6 right here on ABC 30. You know, we'll exercise one good way to relieve stress.
Yes.
But did you know stretching can help? Of course you know that.
Yes, it is. On this Workout Wednesday, Fresno fitness expert Rhonda Murphy shows you some moves you can try to help you unwind after a hard day's work.
I'm always trying to find ways to help reduce my stress. So the best way I found that helps me is actually by stretching. And it's actually those cleansing breaths. So I want you to think when we're stretching, you want to breathe through your nose and out through your mouth. The first stretch we're going to do is a hamstring stretch. So you're going to straighten one leg out. Again, take a nice cleansing breath through your nose, out your mouth, and stretch nice and slow towards it. As I'm going towards it, I feel the tension right underneath my hamstring. So I'm just trying to stretch that out. And now I feel it in my shoulder blades and lower back. So what that's doing is I'm trying to stretch to just reduce some of that stress on my shoulder blades, back, and hamstring. Again, listen to your body. Take it at your level. Again, you know your body better than anybody. So just listen to your body, stretch nice and consistent, no bouncing, and hold it, and just take a breath. Listen to your body, nice and slow. The next stretch I like to do is, again, I carry a lot of my tension to my neck. So what I want to do is just bring those shoulder blades up, then I take them back, and then I just drop them to the ground. So just think about really reducing that tension by dropping those shoulder blades. When we're on the computer, on the phone, driving, we're ending up here. So all that tension. So what I'm trying to do is acknowledge the tension, pull it back, and now get it out of your body. Just drop those shoulders down, and you'll just feel that alleviation of stress right in the neck. Really important. Listen to your body. You know your body better than anybody. So if you want to try to take some of that tension, anxiety, just take a nice cleansing breath. I'm Rhonda Murphy with your Workout Wednesday.
And for more Rhonda's fitness tips we can all use, just go to our website or our mobile app.
Time is 6:27. In our next half hour, getting ready for a big hearing.
How Washington is preparing for the testimony of former FBI Director James Comey.
I'm Vanessa Vasconcelos reporting live in central Fresno, where Police Chief Jerry Dyer has confirmed an officer-involved shooting. We're moments away from hearing an update from him in a live report. But as you can see right now, crime scene investigators have just arrived on scene. They are now getting briefed by detectives here and responding officers. We'll have the very latest in this investigation coming up.
ABC 30 Action News AM Live starts now with breaking news.
And And we continue to follow breaking news at this hour out of Central Fresno of an officer-involved shooting.
It happened around 4:30 this morning, and Police Chief Jerry Dyer is at the scene, getting ready to speak any moment now. Action News reporter Vanessa Vasconcelos is there live with the latest. Vanessa?
That's right, Tony. Amanda, any minute now he's going to be giving us an update on what he has confirmed as an officer-involved shooting. We're going to show you the scene now and show you that crime scene investigators have arrived. They are now speaking with Chief Dyer as well as detectives and responding officers. What we can tell you so far, I did speak with neighbors who say they heard the first shots fired at around 3:15 this morning. We arrived at around 4:30, and that's when we saw a very active scene. Police hadn't even put up the tape yet. There were several cars blocking this intersection at Dakota and Fruit, and it has since grown, and we've seen several patrol cars, at least a dozen out here. We've also seen a fire truck as well as 2 ambulances come. We've also seen animal control that has come. So we have learned that a dog was injured in this shooting. Right now, we don't know who did the shooting, but at this point, we do know that no one is at large. So we have learned from police that no one is at large at this point. This is not a public threat. Again, we are waiting for Police Chief Jerry Dyer to bring us an update. If you're traveling in the Central Fresno area, avoid Dakota altogether. Palm and Fruit is where the Dakota is blocked off at this time, and you're going to want to avoid it because I have noticed several people slowing down to see what's going on. So if you are in the area, just be mindful of other people traveling on the roadway. Again, we are here live in Central Fresno for an officer-involved shooting investigation. At this point, we are waiting any minute now for Chief Jerry Dyer, who at this point hasn't walked up yet, but we do know we're getting an update very soon. We'll keep you updated with the very latest on air and online.
All right, Vanessa, we'll check back in with you shortly. Developing this morning, 2 security guards have been killed and more than 30 hurt in attacks on 2 highly symbolic sites in the Iranian capital of Tehran. Gunmen armed with rifles stormed the parliament building. One of the attackers blew himself up inside where a session had been in progress. Another group of attackers struck a holy shrine. The Islamic State group claimed responsibility for the attack.
New this morning, 2 people are in the hospital recovering from stab wounds after a domestic dispute in Central Fresno. It happened just after midnight in the 300 block of North Poplar. Police say a 56-year-old woman was stabbed in the back by 57-year-old Utemio Palacios, who police say later stabbed himself. They say the suspect tried to run but was caught moments later. Both the victim and suspect were taken to the hospital. Palacios was arrested. Officers recovered the weapon from the scene as well.
Developing this morning out of West Central Fresno, police have identified the victim who was killed after being hit by a van. It happened after 9 last night at Hayes near Robinson. Officers say 37-year-old Ruben Lerma of Fresno was going southbound on Hayes when his car lost its rim tire and the rim on the driver's side. Well, he pulled over to try to get the tire, but was struck by an oncoming van. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver of the van is cooperating with police.
This time there doesn't appear to be any alcohol or narcotics involved with the driver or anything like that. I think they're probably pretty shook up over it. That's just an unfortunate, tragic accident.
That area was shut down for about 2 hours while authorities investigated. Well, let's get a check of your forecast. Actually, we're going to change gears here. We've been following breaking news all this morning of an officer-involved shooting out of Central Fresno.
That's right. We had Vanessa Vasconcelos on scene starting at 4:30 this morning, and there we see Chief Dyer is walking towards the podium where he is going to address this officer-involved shooting, and we heard a dog was involved in this.
Earlier they reported that animal control actually came out. We're hearing from neighbors that they heard multiple shots. There are questions exactly about what unfolded. We don't know if anyone was hurt, but Jerry Dyer out on scene. This happening at about 4:30 this morning. Let's take a listen in as he addresses us.
You ready?
Yeah.
At approximately 3:30 this morning, our department received a call at 345 West Dakota in that area regarding multiple gunshots being fired from that location. Our officers arrived immediately and set up at the front of that residence. They could hear gunshots being fired from the rear of 345 West Dakota. Perimeter was established around the residence. Officers made entry into the residence, escorted the family members or the individuals that lived there outside, and As officers were on scene, dozens of rounds were fired. Many of those rounds fired in the direction of the officers. In fact, officers on scene could hear those rounds go by them. Also, a number of rounds that were striking the residents in front of them, a vehicle and other type of objects such as a swamp cooler. At some point, the officers made the decision to call out the SWAT team. Before the SWAT team could arrive on scene, the suspect, armed with a SKS rifle, made his way towards the officers on the east side. The officers were positioned there. There was a confrontation that occurred. Two officers fired their weapons, one handgun and one rifle at the suspect. He was shot multiple times and is deceased at that location. Next to the suspect, who is, his name is not going to be released at this point. He's a 21-year-old confirmed Bulldog gang member from Fresno. Next to him was the SKS rifle as well as a handgun. He was firing those weapons as well as perhaps a shotgun and another handgun from a detached shed in the backyard of that residence. There are dozens and dozens of rounds that had been fired by him. There's holes in the shed. It appears that he was inside of the shed firing rounds out towards the direction of the officer and towards the west side of that house. We don't know why he did this at this point in time. We don't know a motive behind the shooting. One of the neighbors to the west did hear a comment that he made earlier in the morning, something about it's time to end it all. And so we're not certain as to why he did the actual initial shootings, nor who the individual is at this point in terms of relationship to the people that live there. And so with that, I'll open up to any questions you might have.
Were there any other injuries?
Pardon me?
Did he target the family here?
It does not appear that he was firing that weapon at any people on scene. We do know that a dog was struck by gunfire that appeared to be in the backyard, but it doesn't appear that anyone else was injured. We've canvassed the neighborhood, trying to contact witnesses, see where stray rounds would have gone. But there are a lot of rounds that were fired. There are slugs from the rounds on the walkway next to the house. There are bullet strikes at the house, a swamp cooler, the vehicles that are parked in the driveway next to the carport. So again, we don't know how many rounds were fired. Could be 75 to 100 rounds that were fired by this individual.
When you said he wanted to end it all, do you think he was suicidal, or was this he was targeting other people?
It's difficult to say. You know, we had that initial comment from a witness on scene that he time to end it all. We don't know what that meant. We don't know if that meant him ending his life or having someone end his life or him killing someone else. But what we do know is that he fired multiple rounds during the course of this morning, and many of those rounds were fired in the direction of the officer. Based on the evidence that we have, that was clearly shown, as well as the statements from some of the officers on scene that could actually hear the rounds go by them.
Is he known to officers?
We do know that this individual is a gang member. We also have had contact with him in the past. I don't know what his criminal history is, other than the fact that we do have him in the system as a Bulldog gang member.
What is the initial call again? Can you explain that situation?
The initial call was gunshots heard at that location or in the back of that location. And again, officers arrived very quickly, set up a perimeter, and upon doing so, the rounds continued to be fired during the entire time that they were there.
What was the initial, why were the shots around in the first place? Was he a resident there? Was he trespassing?
According to what we have initially from some people that were staying at the residence, was that he had been staying in this detached garage or shed area for the past couple of days. We do not know what his relationship is to the family, if it's a friend or a relative, but we do know that he was allowed to stay there at least the 2 days prior.
Was he shooting at anybody at the property?
We haven't had an opportunity to interview all of the people inside detailed yet, so we don't know if there was some type of disturbance that led up to this. There's no indication at this point that he was actually firing at them. They were inside of the residence when he was firing the rounds towards the street area.
You said he was a gang member. Any reason to believe that this could happen again with another fellow gang member?
Well, this appears to be an isolated case by an individual who was bent on firing as many rounds as he possibly could. When officers arrived, they became a convenient target, and he began to fire at them. And so, fortunately, for the grace of God, no police officers were shot today because they were in the direct line of fire from the, certainly from him firing the weapon.
What's next in this investigation?
Our homicide investigators are on scene, as well as the district attorney's office. They'll be investigating the officer-involved shooting. We have done a weapons exchange with the officers. We know the number of rounds that were fired. Preliminarily, the officer with the rifle fired 8 rounds. The officer with the handgun fired 4 rounds at this point. And then that investigation will continue. Officers will be placed on administrative leave with pay pending the outcome of the investigation.
You know how many times the suspect here was shot?
I don't know how many times the suspect was shot. He was shot multiple times based on what I could see, and difficult to say. We'll wait for the coroner to make that determination.
Did the officer still, or did the suspect still have ammunition with him?
I don't know. I do know that there were boxes of ammunition inside of the shed. There was a magazine that was lying on the floor, a clip that did not appear to have any more rounds in it. But he had access to plenty of handgun and shotgun and SKS rounds.
So there was more weapons in the shed?
There was a shotgun in the shed, a handgun in the shed. Next to the suspect, there was still a SKS rifle as well as another handgun. During the course of the evening, officers could see that he had something in his hand that was metallic. That turned out to be a handgun, while he was also in possession of that rifle.
How many homes or properties did he get onto?
This incident could have been much worse. Fortunately, as I said, for the grace of God, our police officers were not struck by gunfire, even though they were in the line of fire. And this individual was armed with a high-powered rifle, firing rounds towards the officers. And again, dozens and dozens of rounds that were fired. We won't have an accurate count till later in the day, but it's estimated somewhere between 75 and 100 rounds that were fired. And we're very fortunate that no residents, no citizens were struck either.
Did this stay on one property or spread to others?
The actual suspect stayed contained in the backyard of the residence, firing most of those rounds from a shed towards the street in a north direction, northerly direction, and the officers were able to contain him back there until he tried to come out onto the street area towards the end.
And how long will Dakota be shut down for this investigation?
I would imagine, based on the evidence that has to be processed out at this scene, Dakota is going to be shut down for several hours, if not most of the day.
So the family that was inside during this, they got out safely, and how many were there?
I don't know how many family members were inside of the residence, but I do know that the officers were able to make their way into the residence, escort them out to safety. The primary intent was to get the family out of that house, to remove them from danger, and also to prevent that individual from going into the residence from the backyard. The officers were able to successfully do that, as well as contain him in the backyard.
And did he shoot into that residence?
There were several rounds that struck the west side of the residence in a direct line of path. There was where the suspect was positioned at the shed. There was a police car out on the street. The rounds were striking the residence between the shed and the police car in that line of path, as well as a vehicle that was there and a swamp cooler.
Was anyone being specifically targeted in this?
It's clear that the individual was firing rounds towards the direction of the patrol car where the officer was positioned. And in terms of specifically targeted, I would imagine that's what he was firing at, towards towards that spotlight that was on the car.
But no rounds were fired at the family, just to the officer?
To our knowledge at this point, he did not fire at any citizens, including the individuals in the house. But that could change later on as we do our interviews.
Is there any body camera footage?
We do have certain officers were equipped with body camera. None of those cameras captured the actual shooting itself, but it did capture some of the commands that were given and some of the other information. We're also looking in the area for any cameras There was a camera at the residence. We just don't know if it was functional.
What do you want to say to the public just in terms of what happened? Anything you want to get out there?
Well, very, very fortunate that someone made the decision to call the police at the onset when rounds were fired, that our officers were able to get here very quickly to contain this individual in the backyard. This is an isolated incident from one individual. He did present an immediate danger to the residents in this area. Fortunately, officers were able to eliminate that danger relatively quickly.
Is there any changes?
All right, you are hearing live from Police Chief Jerry Dyer, an officer-involved shooting in central Fresno. We've learned a 21-year-old suspect was killed. He is also a known Bulldog gang member.
Yeah, and it all goes back to early this morning when they heard gunshots, a number of gunshots. The 911 call was made, and they came on out, and the officers say that he approached them, and he had a number of weapons and fired, they said, about 7 to 100 shots.
Yeah, 75 to 100. So the area riddled with really gunfire striking a home. It did not strike any people. An animal was struck, we're told. But really, we're told officers went in, took the family out of this home, that the young man apparently was staying in the back of a shed. They found about 4 weapons on him at that time. But once again, this morning, we are learning that a suspect was killed in this incident. His name has not been released. The 2 officers who were involved in this deadly shooting have been placed on administrative leave.
And if you're just joining us, this is in central Fresno near Dakota and Arthur. And even a neighbor saying they heard a comment, it's time to end it all. I'm sure we're going to be hearing a lot more details as the morning progresses.
All right, we're going to change gears here at 6:47 and check in on your weather. Alina standing by with the latest. Alina.
Well, good morning, everyone. Hopefully you're enjoying the sunshine out there because it is going to help warm us up later on today. Right now, we've been starting out with some temperatures that are just slightly cooler than yesterday morning. Right now, though, let's take a look with our Merced Skycam. Sunshine here in the North Valley and here in Fresno with our Fresno Skycam. It does look a bit hazy, though, from this view. Otherwise, clear skies out there now all the way through much of the morning before some high clouds start to move in later on to the early evening hours. It's 63, though, here in Fresno, 56 in Hanford and Madera, 54 in Lemoore, 58 degrees right now in Merced, Porterville, and 59 in Visalia. Wind is out of the north and northwest for the most part, right around 3 to 5 miles per hour. Very light winds around at this hour. Look for those winds to pick up maybe between 5 to 15 miles per hour throughout the day today. So very light wind expected. Not expecting too much of a breeze out there, but our temperatures will get back into the 90s once again today. Temperatures right around 94 degrees here in Fresno, then falling to about 72 by midnight, and then back in the 60s as we wake up tomorrow morning. So another cool, at least Thursday morning ahead, before much cooler temperatures by the afternoon are expected through late this week. Our futurecast, though, does show clear skies throughout the day today. This is 5 o'clock. You may encounter a few high clouds around, especially in the North Valley. By late this afternoon into the early evening hours, mostly clear to partly cloudy skies tonight into tomorrow morning. May make for a beautiful sunrise as you wake up tomorrow on your Thursday. Rain up to our north, and a few showers may pass on by late Thursday here in the North Valley. But again, maybe be able to squeeze out a sprinkle or two from Merced into Mariposa as we wrap up Thursday and head into early Friday. Best chance of rain will be up into the Sierra later on Friday, but we will see some clouds around to start. We're talking partly to mostly cloudy as we go throughout your Friday. Temperatures today, mix of sun and clouds with 90s returning, and then 60s tonight under partly cloudy skies. And then another look at your air quality report as it is unhealthy for sensitive groups from Fresno, Kings, and Tulare County. All right, here's your 7-day forecast. Much cooler temperatures tomorrow into Friday, then 82 by Saturday. Plenty of sunshine, a bit breezy through the weekend as winds could gust up to about 25 miles per hour, but staying in the low 80s. All right, now let's send it over to CHP Officer Justin Boyker so we can get another look at this morning's roadways. Any accidents or incidents this morning, Justin?
Alina, not so far. Everything is looking pretty good so far in the Central Valley. Let's go ahead and pull up that live traffic tracker, take a quick look at that Wednesday morning commute. We're going to take a wide shot of all the major roadways here in Fresno. As you can see, the 41, 99, 168, and 180 all in the green. No major traffic collisions or hazards to report at this time. Everything is moving smoothly and at the speed limit through Fresno. Let's go ahead and take a live look outside here. State Route 168 at the 180. As you can see, traffic is light and moving smoothly. I'm Officer Foyek with the California Highway Patrol, reminding everyone to keep those seatbelts fastened and please keep driving safely. Amanda, back to you.
All right, thank you, Justin, for that update. And developing this morning, Washington preparing for the highly anticipated James Comey hearing tomorrow by calling top national security officials to testify today. The pending testimony has opened up a rift between the president and Attorney General Jeff Sessions that's so large that sources tell ABC News Sessions has even offered to resign. It comes as we're learning more about what Comey is expected to say and not say about the president. ABC's Lana Zach is in Washington with more.
When fired FBI Director James Comey testifies before the Senate on Thursday,
the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
A source close to Comey tells ABC News he intends to directly contradict the president on this claim, made repeatedly, including in an interview with NBC News.
I said, if it's possible, would you let me know, am I under investigation? He said, you are not under investigation.
But on the more troubling question of obstruction of justice in the Flynn investigation, Comey is expected to offer no judgment.
The real-world implications of this, although great for scoring points for the Democrats, are really not that high in terms of actual effect on the administration.
The testimony is highly anticipated for both Democrats and Republicans.
I think that Comey being here in public is something that's very important to the country.
But inside the White House, the president is blaming Attorney General Jeff Sessions' decision to recuse himself on Russia for many of their current problems. Sources tell ABC News the situation has gotten so tense that Sessions has offered to resign. Press Secretary Sean Spicer even refusing to say if the president still has confidence in Sessions.
I have not had a discussion with them.
The president did offer up another public message.
What message do you have to Jim Comey ahead of his testimony?
I wish him luck.
And ABC 30 will carry Comey's testimony live when it begins tomorrow morning around 7. It'll be on air and online.
In lighter news this morning, the victory tour continues this week for Ananya Vinay, the 6th grader who walked away with the crown at last week's Scripps National Spelling Bee.
She's making an appearance at this hour on Live with Kelly and Riot, where both co-hosts are taking on the winner. Earlier this morning, she made a stop with our buddies at Good Morning America. And later this week, Ananya will also ring in the bell at the New York Stock Exchange, also appear on Jimmy Kimmel, and you can see her on Good Morning America right here on ABC 30 at 7 a.m. Also catch her with Ryan and Kelly at 9 a.m. And somewhere in between all that, I'm told she's going to try to go to the last day of school at Huebman Elementary. We'll see if she makes it there.
Well, she is one busy girl. In the North Valley, the Merced County Fair kicks off today at the Merced County Fairgrounds.
The fun begins with opening ceremonies. It's at 5 tonight, and that's when gates open to the public. And guess what? If you bring 5 cans of food or more from 5 to 7 tonight, you get in for free.
Nice.
All donations go to the Merced County Food Bank to help feed needy families. Action News time, 6:52. We'll be right back.
And we're following breaking news out of Central Fresno. I'm Vanessa Vasconcelos reporting live from Dakota and Fruit. Fruit to Palm is shut down right now for a fatal officer-involved shooting investigation. We did just learn from Chief Dyer the 21-year-old suspected shooter is now dead. No officers were injured, but right now you are looking at a very busy scene. Dakota shut down from Fruit to Palm for this officer-involved shooting investigation. You can see several detectives, officers, those responding officers now speaking with the chief. They are briefing him and going over exactly what's going on. They're talking to neighbors, trying to see if there's any surveillance video, because I did ask the chief if there was body cam footage. He says the officers were wearing body cameras, but they were not on at the time of the shooting. Now, Chief Dyer has said right now they're looking for surveillance video at this time, and I can tell you that he says at least 75 to 100 shots were fired this morning, starting at around 3:30 this morning. We're going to be keeping you updated on air and online with the very latest.
All right, and Alina, final check?
Yeah, well, 90s today, 80s through the next several days, so cooling down.
All right, thanks so much. That does it for us. We'll have much more on this incident throughout the morning and online.
See you later.